All right, man. I've been, I went to the Central Market in Fort Worth, Texas, and got a bunch of stuff, and I made a video about it, and I couldn't get it to download or upload off of this stupid camera, so it blocked up a bunch of space on my video camera for a few weeks, and I haven't been able to do any blogging. But I finally just said, forget it. I got to get some of this stuff on video. Look, I want to talk about the United States. I want to compare it to a fighter that is in top physical shape. Okay? And imagine this guy's done all the right things. He's eating right, he's exercised, he's taking care of his body and everything. And he just rounds himself into this, well-oiled machine, this great physical specimen with stamina and strength and speed and everything else. And he would, from outside appearances, appear to be, the perfect specimen of human fitness. This guy, when he does this, and when he's reached this point, he could begin to slack off. He could begin to do things, eat junk food, not exercise, take up smoking. He could do things that would be detrimental to his health and still maintain that physical appearance, and even his, being in shape for quite a while, or for a while, before things would actually begin to deteriorate to the point where he would actually look bad to the outside public. And I think that's what's happened with the United States. We've done all the right things. We've stayed committed to individual liberties. We've stayed committed to the idea of capitalism and free markets and freedom of association up to a point, and we rounded ourselves into the greatest specimen of a free economy and a free nation that the world has ever known. But in the last 40 years, we've become to be in that position where we're in such great shape and we're so dominant a specimen that we can start to drift away from some of the things that got us to that point, and the effects are not immediately noticeable. But the problem that we have is when we attribute our going away from those principles as the reason that we were so great, rather than a deviation from what made us great. This would be like the guy that's in shape, smoking all the time and eating bad, and people going around say, look, he smokes all the time, he eats bad, and look what a great physical specimen it has turned him into. No, he became a great physical specimen because he abandoned all those things. He did not do those things. And he became a great physical specimen, and he has abandoned what got him to that point, but he's still able to maintain that for a while. And that's what has happened. We've turned more socialistic in our policies, in our healthcare, in our education. And everybody wants to point to the deviations from the plan as the reason that we got the way we are. Look, we've got public education. That's what makes this country so great. That's why we've become so successful in the world. Well, we only had public education in the last 75 years or so, at least the way we know it now. We got up to this point without public education. The welfare state began a precipitous growth in the 40s and in the 60s. We got to this point without that. We didn't have food stamps. We didn't have welfare. We didn't have Medicaid and Medicare. Even in the 40s, we didn't have Social Security. But people want to point to Social Security, Medicaid, Medicare, and say, this is why this country is so great. No, it's not. We got to this point without all this stuff, and we're able to maintain some semblance of strength and power in the world despite our deviations from what got us here. What got us here was free markets, capitalism, commitment to liberty. Our forefathers dumped tons and tons of tea into the Boston Harbor because of a cent tax. 1-cent tax, and they think somehow that they would support all these different infringements on our liberty. When Thomas Jefferson said, "I'd rather attend to the nuisances that come along with too much liberty than to deal with the encumbrances of not having enough." And we think that we're great because of all these things, when really they represent a deviation from what got us here in the first place. And I believe what will happen to that fighter is, if he deviates far enough from that, what got him into that physical shape, he will eventually, and could eventually, run himself totally into the ground to the point of death. And he may look good all the while doing it. The full effects of the nefarious habits that he may pick up to begin going back in the opposite direction may never be fully realized until it's too late. And I think that's what we're in danger of having happen here in the United States is that we're successful in spite of all of our deviations and perversions of the principles and institutions that got us here. And we try to say they're the reason we got here. And I think we're in danger of being like this great fighter that could take or could neglect himself to the point where he would actually kill himself and still look strong on the outside. And if that were to happen to a person in real life, say he drank himself to death or something, somebody would come and say, what a great physical specimen. And yet, dead, wasted. And there he lays in the coffin, still looking good, still looking physically fit. And I think America is in the same position. We're still able to maintain the outside facade, but we're getting dangerously close to that place where we're going to be brought down. And it's going to be severe, if not a complete death. It's going to be severe. And people are going to look and they're going to say, wow, up until the end, they still looked good. They were still a specimen. They were still dominant right up to the end. And it all came down so quick. What happened? And I hope it doesn't, but we've deviated too far from what made us great. And so we're in real danger of being just like that fighter that has let himself go too much. It can only last so long, and then the bad habits are going to catch back up to us. And they always do.